Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're gearing up for your Edexcel GCSE Physics exams, then you are in exactly the right place. This is the first part of our series where we're going to break down all the key topics, and today we're jumping straight into the secrets of motion. All right, let's get stuck in. Okay, let's start with something you do every day. Imagine you're just walking to the park. Simple, right? You probably just think, I'm walking. But to a physicist, that's a whole story unfolding. A story told with numbers, directions, and even graphs. So how would they see your little trip? Let's find out. You see, the very first thing a physicist does is sort everything out. Every single measurement gets put into one of two teams. Honestly, this is the most fundamental idea in motion, and once you get this, I promise, everything else just clicks into place. So, meet the teams, scalars and vectors. And the difference is actually really simple. A scalar quantity just has magnitude, which is just a fancy word for its size. It's just a number. But a vector, well, a vector has both a magnitude and a direction. Think of it like this. If I tell you to walk 500 meters, that's a scalar. You know how far to go, but you have no idea where you'll end up. But if I say walk 500 meters north, boom, that's a vector. Now you've got the full picture. So let's apply this to our walk. The first player on Team Scalar is distance. This is simply how far you've traveled in total. It's kind of like the odometer in a car. It just keeps ticking up the meters you've covered, and it couldn't care less if you were going forwards, backwards, or just driving around in circles. But over on Team Vector, we have displacement. Now, this is your overall change in position from where you started to where you finished. It's the straight line as the crow flies measurement, and you have to include the direction. The key thing here is that displacement doesn't care about the scenic route you took. It only cares about where you ended up compared to where you began. And this running track example shows the difference perfectly. So an athlete runs 300 meters. The distance they've covered is, well, obviously 300 meters. But look at where they actually end up. Their displacement is only 100 meters from where they started. And get this, if they run a full 400-meter lap, their distance is 400 meters, but because they're right back at the starting line, their displacement is 0. Absolutely 0. Crazy, right? Okay, so we have covered how far and where to. Let's build on that. The next logical question is, how fast are we going? We all know what speed is, don't we? It's how fast you're going. In physics terms, it's the distance you travel every single second. And because it's all about distance, it's a scalar. It's just a number, like 30 miles per hour or 1.5 meters per second. Nice and simple. Now, for your exams, you are definitely going to need to calculate speed, distance, or time. And this little beauty, the formula triangle, is your absolute secret weapon. Whatever you need to find, just cover it up with your thumb. Want to find speed? Cover it up, and you're left with distance divided by time. Need to find the distance? Cover that, and you see it's speed multiplied by time. It's a brilliant little trick to make sure you never mess up the equation. And just to give you a feel for these numbers in the real world, here are some typical speeds. A pretty brisk walk is about 1.5 meters per second. A decent running pace is around 3 meters per second. And a Japanese bullet train, a blistering 50 meters every single second. It's really useful to keep these kinds of benchmarks in your head. But just like before, sometimes a number on its own isn't enough. I mean, imagine you're an air traffic controller and a pilot just radios in, I'm flying at 250 meters per second. That's great, but are they heading towards another plane? Without a direction, speed can be useless or, even really dangerous. And that is where velocity comes in. It's our vector version of speed. It's an object's speed in a specific direction. So our pilot should have said 250 meters per second heading due east. See? Now we have the full story. Speed is how fast, velocity is how fast, and in what direction. Right, so far our journey has been at a pretty steady pace. But real life isn't always like that, is it? We speed up, we slow down. So what happens then? Well, let's talk about acceleration. So let's go back to our walk in the park. You check your watch. Oh no, you're late for dinner. You stop your casual walk and break into a run. In that moment, your velocity isn't constant anymore. It is changing. And in physics, that change has a very specific name. And that name is acceleration. It's the rate of change of velocity. So it's not just about how fast you're going, it's about how quickly your velocity is changing. Now, this is the bit that catches people out. Because velocity includes direction, any change, speeding up, slowing down, or even just turning a corner at a constant speed, all of that counts as acceleration. Now, if you're speeding up, like when you started running for home, we call that positive acceleration. But if you're slowing down, maybe as you get to your front door, that's negative acceleration. And we often give this a special name you've probably heard, deceleration. It's just a handy word for slowing down. To put a number on it, a typical family car that's going from a standstill to 60 miles per hour has an acceleration of about 2.7 meters per second squared. What that means is that for every second that passes, its speed increases by another 2.7 meters per second. So we have all these separate ideas: distance, speed, acceleration, but how can we put them all together and see the entire story of a journey in just one single glance? Well, we use a graph. Yup, we can take that whole story, you walking to the park, sitting on a bench for a bit, and then legging it home, and we can plot it on a distance-time graph. And this isn't just some boring chart from a maths lesson. It's a visual story of your entire journey. Let's break this graph down. Look at section A. We've got a steady, straight line sloping upwards. That's you walking at a nice constant speed. Then we get to section B, and the line goes completely flat, horizontal. Your distance from the start isn't changing at all. You're stationary. That's you sitting on the park bench. And then in section C, whoa, the line gets much steeper. You're covering more distance in less time. That's you running home because you're late. And that is the absolute key takeaway. If you remember one thing from this, make it this. Write it down, burn it into your brain. The slope or the gradient of a distance-time graph tells you the speed. The steeper the line, the faster you're going. It is genuinely that simple. So, we'll leave you with a final thought, a bit of a brain teaser. Remember we said acceleration is any change in velocity, and that velocity includes direction? Well, there's a place where you are constantly accelerating, even if your speed isn't changing one little bit. Where on earth could that be? Have a think about it, and we'll see you in the next one.